Aston Martin have produced some of the world's most elegant cars. Let me show you why. Firstly, the sound. Being an older car, the suspension is a lot softer. The car feels a lot more boatish, which is why I prefer current sports cars, because the suspensions are so stiff. They inspire more confidence when you drive. There's a lot of reviewers, automotive journalists, who complain about road cars being too harsh. I disagree with them. I like a very, very stiff car, and I also think it adds a sense of occasion. I want to feel every bump, as opposed to the car being soft and compliant on the road. You only need the suspension to be that stiff if you're really pushing it hard and you want to push the car to its limits and feel everything. If you want a car that's a nice mix of comfort and performance, then having a car that's slightly softer suspension wise like this makes sense. With the Aston Martins being so elegant in their styling, you can drive one to a business meeting or a dinner and not look out of place. I've just come from a meeting, hence wearing a suit, and I feel comfortable driving this car. I wouldn't feel comfortable going to a business meeting if I were driving a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. I think they're too loud and ostentatious, which, despite having a similar price point, similar performance, Aston Martin somehow manages to make the cars elegant enough not to make you feel uncomfortable or not to feel like you're showing off owning them. This car has a 6.5 litre V12, which sounds incredible. It's naturally aspirated, so it's so responsive. Performance-wise, Aston Martins have always been fairly similar to the performance on a Ferrari or Lamborghini of a similar year. I guess less harsh than the Ferrari or Lamborghini. From Aston Martin's own market research, a large majority of their buyers buy the car because of the James Bond association. And they are true, because driving the car, I feel like James Bond. As a child, my dream was to be James Bond, or have his persona, not to be a spy, but dress well, drive an Aston Martin, always have beautiful women. The way he carries and conducts himself, I think, is perfectly suited to an Aston Martin. It's the type of person I aspire to be. I think all English cars have an elegance to them. I don't know what it is, it's je ne sais quoi, but Aston Martins, Bentleys, Rolls Royces, I'm not sure about some of the modern Rolls Royces. Like, I don't think the Spectre or the Dawn elegant at all, but the Phantoms always have an elegance to them. I get daily driven in a Bentley Mulsanne in London, and that car too, I feel it has a sort of stately air to it. I think Aston Martin have lost their way. Having said that, I think their new Vanquish is incredible. It's beautiful. The Valhalla, the Valkyrie, even the Vantages, for me, just don't have the presence that old Aston Martins do. They feel too much like toys. If I were to compare Aston Martin to a shoe, the cars like the newer Aston Martins, like the Valhalla, etc., make me think of a sports shoe, a trainer, a pair of really advanced Nikes. Whereas the Astons of yesteryear, which I like, are more like a pair of handmade John Lobs, and I prefer the John Lob to the trainer. When designing the Naran, a lot of my inspiration came from early Aston Martins. The old V8 Vantage, the first and second generation Vanquish, I felt they all sort of looked like a brute in a suit. You know, they have this thuggish image while still being classy and elegant. It's so hard to describe, but I wanted my car to have that same appearance. I wanted it to be beautiful and elegant, yet still be aggressive and scary at the same time. That's why I made sure my car was front-engined. I think a front-engined car gives the muscular appearance with a long bonnet over the front. A lot of the persona of early Astons is what I wanted my car to exude. My all-time favorite Aston Martin is the Aston Martin Victor. I think it's a modern interpretation with all the greatest things I liked about the old cars, the presence, the muscular design. It's manual, but they only made one. Another really great car they built was the 177, which they only produced 177 cars. That was Aston Martin personified in my eyes. Really beautiful, elegant, a crazily powerful engine. The only way it'd been improved in my eyes is if they put a manual gearbox in it. And then my third favorite Aston Martin was the Vulcan, because it's just such a brutal vehicle, but track only, unfortunately. Aston Martin's valuation has skyrocketed in recent years. If I'm not mistaken, the figures of the F1 team value went from having bought it for around 117 million, it's valued at over $3 billion right now. And a large part of that was due to F1's popularity with the Drive to Survive series. So it shows how much media can play such a large role in a business's valuation. If you've enjoyed this video, stay tuned and subscribe. There's plenty more ahead.